All right, if you have a business, you've been running a business, and you've been hearing this conversation about how this year has been so bad and the market is slow, especially in the wedding industry, this episode is for you. I invited Brandee Gaar to have a conversation with me. She's a wedding planner, industry thought leader, and she runs a conference called the Wedding Pro CEO Summit. She also hosts a podcast, and she is a big data person just like myself. We talked about the thought process of why people are thinking that. What are the misconceptions around this thinking of things are slow and people are not getting married anymore? And how to really focus your time and effort into the things that are going to help you shine in this industry. So, this is a great episode with lots of tips for you. I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's dive in. Welcome to the Accidental CEO podcast, where we bridge the gap between the creativity you love and the CEO mindset you need. I'm your host, Nata Salvatore, wedding photographer and business educator. Find full show notes and resources at accidentalceopod.com. Let's get into today's episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Accidental CEO podcast. I'm your host, Nata Salvatore. And today I have Brandee Gaar with me. She is a luxury event planner, wedding industry thought leader, educational speaker, and host of the Wedding Pro CEO podcast, a fellow podcaster like me. She's also a leader behind the Wedding Pro CEO Summit, which I had the honor to speak at this year. And again, it's an amazing intimate education setting. You should definitely check it out. Welcome, Brandee.
Thank you so much. And thank you for that plug for our summit. Yes, that is a passion project for sure. And I loved getting to have you there this past year with us. So hopefully we'll see some new faces.
Yeah, I really like the just more intimate environment. It's not a huge conference, but not too small. It's big enough that you can meet a good amount of people, but don't feel overwhelmed and feel like you have to go hide in your room at the end of the day. Like
Yes,
some of us like to do.
that was the goal. So I'm glad it feels like we've achieved that. Yeah. And we
That's
love
awesome.
it.
So I invited Brandee to hang out with me today because we share a very common belief. Well, I'll say uncommon belief that kind of goes against what we've been hearing this year in the wedding industry, which is the fact that, we hear all the time, and I'm in part of a lot of groups that, it has been such a horrible year and it's so slow and people are not getting married anymore. And there is just very scary scarcity mindset going on out there in the wedding industry. And I am seeing something different, just like Brandee. So I wanted to just have a conversation about it. And she's great. She has lots of data and information on this. So I love having her here to kind of go back and forth on it. So let's just start with a little bit of your background, a little bit more so they can get to know you and why can you speak with such confidence on this? Because I think that's important for people to actually listen to before they consider our opinions. And then we'll dive into what is this talk and what's going on in the industry today.
Yeah. Nada, I'm so excited to chat with you about this topic. So thanks so much for having me. I think, there's a couple of reasons that I feel really confident speaking on this topic. One, I've been a wedding pro in the industry for 17 years. So I run one of the largest planning firms in Orlando, Florida. And I've been through, I feel like every economic up and down that could possibly happen, between COVID and the Great Recession. I'm just like, wow, I've seen it all. And honestly, the economy is always going to be something that you've got to navigate as a wedding pro. So the whole, blaming on the economy and sitting on your hands and writing it out is just not a way to grow a business. And so I'm super passionate about that. I see it in my own business that this is not a down year, but not only that, I have hundreds of wedding pros that I work with inside of my programs that are planners, photographers, DJs, venues, literally every single type of pro is inside my programs. And the whole thing is that you've got to understand the strategy that's working now, which is not the same strategy that used to work even 3 years ago. And so the fact that I still run a wedding business and am teaching these strategies inside of my programs, we're able to see the results work over and over and over again. And so I think that that's really, really important. And then lastly would just be that I'm really a data junkie, and the numbers just don't prove this theory to be true. I think what we're seeing this year, which is causing some of this rhetoric, is that the truth is, in 2022, we had more engagements than we've ever had in the wedding industry in one single year. And so we had this huge boom, and no one felt like they could keep up with it, which trickled over to weddings occurring in 2023, right? So we have all these engagements in 2022. 2022 becomes this crazy booking year. We're doing all the weddings in 2023 or early 2023. And then all of a sudden, the market corrects itself. So in 2023, last year, there was only 2.1 million engagements, which was significantly lower than not just a typical year, but way lower than 2022. And so that's what's affecting this year, is that we've got this engagement gap, as we're calling it. And it's causing us to have less weddings in 2024. But the fact is, we're back up to the same number of engagements that we used to have. So we're back up to about 2.4, 2.5 million engagements this year. So it's all correcting itself back. It's just a matter of understanding what's actually happening in the marketplace, and the fact to understand that COVID wasn't a one-year thing. COVID will affect us and has affected us for years. I think we're finally starting, I say here in almost Q4 of 2024 and going into next year, I think we're just now starting to see where we can start to say, okay, I think we're back on level playing field. But COVID sent us way up, way down, way up, way down. And so you just have to understand why the market's doing what it's doing, and not just sit on your hands and be like, well, I guess I'll just have to wait till next year, you know?
Yeah, I think it's good to bring up numbers because I feel like this industry is an industry where you hear things and then you pass it on sometimes without actually taking your time to analyze what you're hearing. And I'm very data driven too. So that's why I feel like, let's hold on to the actual facts here, people, and not the feelings.
Yes, I always tell people to fight fear with facts. It's like your emotions can just run away with you as a business owner, right? When you have a down week or even a down month, all of a sudden it's like, but my whole business is crashing down around me. And really, it's just a down month. It's okay.
Yeah, I love that. So, what are some of the common misconceptions you think about marketing, specifically in the wedding industry, that might lead businesses to think that the market is slow?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. It's interesting to me because so very much has changed in 3 or 4 years. Like, so much has changed, and marketing is no exception. One of the things that I think is very, very different is really how Instagram works. I know that sounds crazy, but Instagram is really one of the main platforms that wedding pros are showing up on. It's where clients can not just see your work, but they can also interact with you. They can DM you. And so it's a really great platform for us to really get bookings, honestly. And so Instagram is definitely a place to be. However, it used to be where you could show up, outsource it, hire an intern, put up beautiful pictures, people would find you, and then they would, inquire. That is no longer the case at all. Now, we really are pushing towards this more real, if I don't know if you could even call Instagram real, but more real interaction. And so what our couples are looking for is for you to be more real, for you to show more behind the scenes about your business. In addition to that, they want to see engagement with other platforms. Some of the best ways that I'm seeing our vendors get booked is by interacting on other vendors' pages. So, I think about this as a planner, for instance, and Nata, you're a photographer, right? So we both get booked around the same time in the booking process. It's like venue, photographer, planner. And so as a planner, we are constantly engaging on platforms on the profile of photographers we love working with and venues we love working with. Because if either of those two things are booked before us, the next thing that couple is looking for is a planner. And so when they see my company's name come up over and over and over, say on your page, and we love working with you, your couples are going to be like, oh, she must work with them all the time, right? Or, oh, I keep seeing this name come up. They're going to come over to our profile. So I think this is a really great strategy for all vendors to do on venue pages, especially because venues are typically booked first, and also on photographers and planners pages, because those 3 pros are being booked really, really quickly. So this is not something that you can outsource easily, which I know not everybody loves hearing that, but you can outsource your posting, but the engagement really needs to come from someone on your team that understands the pros that you love working with and kind of your brand voice.
Yeah, I mean, you're not only getting in front of those couples, but you're supporting your fellow vendors. And remember, a couple might generate one or two more clients for you because you're going to talk to their friends, but a vendor can be an infinite source of referrals for you if you have a good relationship with them. So take 2 seconds to go support your fellow vendors out there.
That's right. That's exactly right. I love that advice. And it really is so true. Like your partnerships that you have in the marketplace are massively important. I would say it's the number one reason that my business is successful because we put so much into our partnerships when we first started building. Well, still too, obviously, but when we first started building, that was really something that was super important to us.
So, other than the strategy we just talked about, is there any other good example of some marketing techniques that have helped some other wedding businesses thrive during the times where other people perceive this slow season for the industry?
Yes, I think perception is reality, if I'm being super honest. A lot of times when your bookings are down or when you're struggling to, get those leads to convert, it can feel difficult to show up. I've been there. I totally know what that feeling is like. You kind of are just like, let me do all this back end stuff and see if I can get our systems better, rebrand our website. Guys, at the end of the day, people need to see your face. So, especially when leads are slow, you need to be showing up even more. TikTok, Instagram, getting out to the venues and doing venue tours or inviting a fellow pro for coffee and talking about, how you guys can partner together. These are the ways that we're driving leads into your business. And all of this is marketing. When we think about marketing, a lot of times we only think about online marketing, but getting out and developing those one-on-one relationships, getting out to a networking event and having really specific intentionality as to who you're going to meet there and what your ROI is and going to this event, going out to the venues. I think that's what I see as, the most success that my pros are having. And honestly, with my own company too, like we never let our foot off the gas on marketing because that's like our lifeblood. That's what's getting the leads into our company. If we don't have leads, we don't have sales. We don't have sales, we don't have a business. So I really want to encourage you to show your face, show up consistently, get out there and talk about what you do, how you're an expert, what the experience is like of working with you, so that when you get those leads landing on your profile or you've got other vendors talking about you, they're excited to book. They're a warm lead.
Yeah, and so one thing that goes along with that a lot, and I'm sure you hear this from your coaching clients too, but some of the things that I work with my clients a lot is this fear and blocking of I don't want to show up on social media, I don't want my face to be there. And they just don't want to do it. They don't want to put content out there that involves them. In what I told somebody yesterday, because we had a business strategy call yesterday, is you probably had a job before this. If you're an entrepreneur now, very few people will jump right into this. And I would guess that of the 10 tasks that you had to do for that job, you probably hated 2 or 3 of them. There are things you just didn't like to do, but they were part of your job and you just had to get it done because that was your job. If you're willing to do that for somebody else, why are you not willing to do these tasks that you might not love for your own business? Like, let's suck it up and do it, guys. It's just the business. It is what it is today. It is the market that we work on. It is what you need to be out there and be in front of people. That's where your customers are. Why would you refuse help your own business because you don't want to you don't want to put the content together? Like, find a way to do this to support your own business just like you would do it for somebody else's business, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Nata, I love that. And I agree with you. I sometimes I just want to shake wedding pros and be like, you guys, I don't care if you like it. I don't like a lot of things I do in my business. And
Yep.
no, people have a hard time believing me now. And I get it because you see me and you, Nata, right? All the time. We're constantly showing up on social media. And so it's hard to believe that there was ever a time when that was difficult. I really genuinely don't love making videos. I mean, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. There's some days where I'm like, I love it. This is so fun. I can't wait. And then there's other days where I'm like, I literally don't care. I don't want to show up today. I don't want to do it. But I know that that's part of being a business owner. It's part of driving sales into our funnels. And so I have to do it, and I have to treat it like anything else in my business. It used to be where it could be like social media was almost this afterthought, and it would be like, if I have time, I'll jump on. Now it's like it needs to be first and foremost in your day. It needs to be the first thing you do so you can't forget about it. You just need to show up, get it done, mark it off your plate, and have fun with it. Like, I think one of the things that has helped me is to think about a couple sitting on the other side of the camera, right? Like, imagine a couple you're doing a consultation with and just start talking like that you would talk to them if they were sitting right in your office. And I think that makes the best connection. And it also helps you to think about, well, what would I say? Well, what would you say to a couple that was sitting right here in front of you, right? Think about the questions they ask you. So I agree with you. It's like, it doesn't have to be something that you love, but it is a necessary piece of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. The earlier we get in peace with that, the easiest your life is going to be. Just get on it. Treat it as one more task that you have to do to be successful, and just find ways to make it as pleasant as possible, and get it done. I love that. So we people hear about how marketing is important all the time. It's no news to anybody. But how should people be actually analyzing their current market efforts to make sure that they are being effective, like they're being effective to their target audience? Because yes, we know marketing is good, but how do I make sure I'm spending my time and money at the right place?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this. So, when I'm working with my students, we track every single lead that comes into their business. And y'all, don't fight me on this. Like, there's so many people that'll be like, I don't have time to track every lead, or my CRM does it. No, I have a great CRM with really good reporting, and I still have my sales manager track manual leads because there's nothing better than having to manually see where did every lead come from, and we've got the report literally right there in front of us. So I want to know every single lead that comes into the business and where they came from. Now, I want to touch on that a little bit, because sometimes if you just put it on your contact form, like, where'd you find us? They kind of just pick the last place they saw you, and that's fine. Sometimes that's the best data that you're going to get. But when you get on a consultation call, I do want you to dig into that a little bit. I want to know, like, did they come from a paid listing that you do with the Knot or Wedding Wire? Did they come from Instagram? Did they find you on TikTok? Did they come from a referral? Which referral? Who did they come from? And I want you to know that, because exactly what Nata is asking is, how do we really know if our marketing efforts are working? Here's the thing. You're a busy business owner. And unless you have a huge team, there's only so many places that you can show up in a week, right? So I want to be realistic about that. So we want to see, where are your leads coming from? And then let's double or triple down on our efforts there. If we are on TikTok, Pinterest, and Instagram, for instance, and we never see a lead from anywhere except your contact form, well, my guess would be a lot of those might be coming from Pinterest. If you're getting tons of leads from your contact form, that could be Pinterest, could be SEO. There's lots of things that we could track, right, to see exactly where they're coming from. If you're getting DMs straight from Instagram, we know Instagram's working, right? If somebody comes in and says, oh my gosh, I saw you on TikTok, I loved your video. Okay, we want to track that. We also want to track our paid listings. I think this is so important, and people forget about this, is when you dump all your leads together, you can start to get frustrated with your conversion rate, because honestly, traffic from either paid ads on Meta or Google, or traffic from a listing site, is always going to be colder than traffic that comes from organic social media or from your website. So we want to track those separately so that we can see, okay, is the paid listing working? Are the paid ads working, right? We want to track those separately. So really, it's just about tracking where they're coming from so that we can know what's working and know what's not working. And that way we put more money here, we take money away from here, we put more effort here, we take effort away. There's only so much you can do, right? So we want to make sure we're putting it in the place that's making the most impact.
Yeah, if you're not tracking, you can't change it, right? So you're not understanding the data, not looking.
Yeah,
And
you're going with your gut.
Yep, and data-driven decisions are smart decisions. Like, you have to look at, we have so often, I'm working with people in coaching and they're like, "Well, I feel like I'm not making as much money this year, or I feel like I have less leads coming in." And then we start looking at the numbers, and I was like, "That is not true at all." They're like, "Oh, that was my impression." I'm like, Yeah, we don't make business decisions just on your impressions.
Nope, we
Yes,
gotta have the
yeah,
data.
you have a feel for your business, but, like, look at those numbers because sometimes you might be mistaking something else that you're feeling. Maybe you're overwhelmed with something or you're burnt out and you're thinking things are not going well in your business when it's actually not true at all. So, definitely look
Yep.
at those numbers, guys.
Yes, always look at your numbers, especially for your paid listings, right? Like paid ads or paid listing site. I can't, I'm sure you get this too, where it's like, oh, can you help me decide if I should continue advertising with, XYZ advertise? And I'm like, well, do you have data? Like how many leads have you gotten? How many have converted? Otherwise, you're just kind of like, yeah, everybody says this listing site stinks. So I'm going to get off of it too. And I'm like, I have a lot of students who win with paid media. And I'm like, let's make sure we're tracking that.
Yeah, I even look at things like, what are the conversion rates of consultations that I do in person versus consultations that I do in Zoom? Does that affect anything? Do I need to make more of an effort to try to meet people in person or just little things that you can't track with a CRM system that you need to be looking to change your strategy in your business? So there's so many things you can look into.
I agree. 100%. I agree.
So, in what ways have this digital era of marketing kind of changed the landscaping for wedding businesses? Is there some specific strategies that are most important when it comes to, digital marketing? Today's episode is sponsored by Accidental CEO. Are you tired of empty calendars or worse, feeling like your revenue is capped? I've been there. The truth is, it's insanely frustrating to feel like you're doing everything the experts recommend but never seeing real results for yourself. Stop trying to follow someone else's path. Your business superpowers are completely unique from every other entrepreneur in your area. Let me help you find the key to unlock your wildly profitable business strategy. I focus on one-on-one business and mindset coaching because I truly believe you deserve individualized strategies for your unique business. It's time to get your business thriving. Check out my website for more information at accidentalceo.co. That's accidentalceo.co.
Yeah, I think what's great about it, I do think it's a double-edged sword. I'm not going to lie. When I first started my business, Instagram didn't exist, which always makes me feel like a dinosaur, but Instagram is not that old. Okay. So,
Yep.
when I first started my business, honestly, there weren't a lot of ways to advertise. I started my business. I took out a large listing with the Knot in their print and online. And that was kind of it. Besides that, it was like bridal shows and word of mouth, so I was getting out and meeting people. Now, what's really, really cool is that we can honestly advertise our businesses for free. You guys, social media is free. Now, your time, you have a lot more time in it, right? So back before all the social media sites, we paid a fortune. I think my first check I wrote to the Knot was $20,000, and it
Whew.
was, yeah, it was for a year, but still, we took it all out. Like I was like, here we come. But it was significant. Now I hardly spend anything in paid advertising for my planning company, but we spend quite a bit in contractors and pros that help us to stay top of all of these platforms. So that's definitely, kind of the switch off. But the really cool thing about it is that you can do it for free. You can jump on your Instagram, you can talk on your stories, you can make reels. And even better than that is if you genuinely don't want to show your face, which I think Nata and I have both made clear is not acceptable. You should show your face. But let's just say you're still getting used to it. Grabbing your phone when you're at a wedding or when you're putting together invitations or when you're making a timeline or whatever, and just showing behind the scenes and putting some text over it with music, guys, that trends, that shows that you have business. People are interested in what you do on a daily basis. They want to see your weddings, like the real, the raw, right? We had one wedding a couple months ago. I do very few weddings at this point. So I had a wedding myself and we brought a content creator with us and I had so much fun. I was mostly doing things for our staff, like kind of training things. So I was doing little videos where it was like, make sure anytime you're setting a table, all the table linens go the same direction, like little tips, right? Well, we ended up using a lot of those on social media. And I was like, we have this bank of content from this one wedding that, we can use anytime over and over and over again. So social media has become really, really easy. There's lots of ways to do it. So what I would say, what digital media has really changed for us is it's made it so much easier to talk directly to our customers. I don't have to take out a print ad, hope someone sees it, then goes to my website, then reaches out. Now they can literally see something I post on Instagram and DM me right from there, and we can have a conversation. So I think that there's so much value in that. And then in addition to that, you can change it every day. Hello, like fresh content every single day. Whereas when we only had print advertising, we had to go wait till the next issue was coming out and, update your listing. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's given, I tell my girls all the time, I have teenagers. I'm like, to be young in this marketplace, like it's just the world is your oyster. You could start any kind of business from your couch with a phone. And we take that for granted. We think it's like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. It's not difficult, guys. It's really not. It just takes getting used to.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a long time to get used
No.
to it. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even have Instagram before I had my business because I didn't want anything to do with social media, and here I am today. You see my face every day out there.
Same. I
And just
definitely
to
would not have social media if I didn't have a business.
yeah, and
But
just to explain why we're saying it's important for you to show up is people buy from people they know and trust. And you can only have so much access to your potential clients in person. So this is your opportunity to be in front of those people and for them to get to know you. Because whether you believe it or not, whether you want to hear it or not, they will make a choice based on you as a person too, as a business owner. They're gonna compare your values as a person with the offers that you have, the services that you're offering. So being out there is part of building this identity around your business and your brand. And you can't do that without your face. I would fight that to to the
same. Same.
yeah. That being said, are there ways to improperly use social media and making sure how can we make sure that we are using social media properly to contribute to that perception of our business and not add to this idea of a slowdown and things are not going well? I'm sure there's some best practices that we can share with them when it comes to how to boost your business in social media.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest thing is to really remember that social media is part of your overall sales funnel. So, way too often I see wedding pros make it more of a gallery of their most recent work, which is great. I think you should definitely post your most recent work. But every piece of your social media needs to have a purpose. It needs to have a purpose in your sales funnel, right? So when you think about your sales funnel, it's wide at the top, tiny at the bottom. Our goal is to get social media is to fill that funnel. So it's super top of funnel, it's super wide. And what you really want to think about is the journey that a couple would go through. So how do they find you? They find you either through a reel, which they could get on the Explore page, or they're getting it put on their For You page. So they could find you through a reel. They could find you through you engaging on another vendor's platform, right? So there's lots of different ways that they can find you. They could find you through a search or a hashtag. But once they find you, when they get to your profile, does your profile clearly convey who you are, who your company serves, the exact pain points of your couples? And what I mean by that is if you're a planner and you put something up there like, we plan flawless events, now booking 2025, so does every other planner in all of the world, right? Like that makes no one care. And so they bounce, they're like, okay, not that cool. But if I were to say something like, we plan logistically challenging events in faraway locations for adventurous couples, right? Like something like that. I'm literally riffing here. But then if I'm that couple that's like, I literally want to get married in the middle of the desert and I want all my guests to stay in teepees, like these weddings are strange, right? But now I know exactly who you serve, right? So I want you to speak directly to the couples that are landing on your profile. I want you to really think about, who do I serve? What are their pain points? And then you need to have a link in your bio. That link should not go to your homepage. That's like giving someone your address and not giving them your street number, right? It's just like, I live on Dillard Street. Okay, where on Dillard Street, right? So when you just drop them off to your homepage, then they have to go searching through your website for what they're looking for. Direct them to specific links. Book a consultation now, view our pricing, learn more about us, and link them to those direct pages. And then also the same thing with all of your posts. Make sure you're telling guests what to do. When the couple gets to one of your feed posts or to a reel, tell them what to do. Like this post, share it with an engaged couple, save for later, DM us for more information. Like whatever you want them to do, tell them what to do. Because again, you want them to do something no matter where they are on the journey. You want to move them to the next stage of that sales funnel.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome tips there for you guys. Let's talk a little bit about ways to add some good customer engagement strategies to keep that wedding business vibrant and visible in such a quote unquote crowded market. Because I hate that
Yeah.
expression too, but let's go with that.
I know. Yeah. So customer engagement at like on social media or just in general customer engagement?
I would say probably we can probably talk more in general. So we've been hitting a lot of social media stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important, right, to ask for reviews. We want to get your customers to engage. Really, the best way is to get them to engage with you through a review. We want those customers to tell everyone else that's looking at working with you how awesome you were to work with. And we want to ask them to be as specific as possible. So when you ask for reviews from your couple, tell them what you want them to say. Like give them some tips, ask them to add pictures, add at least a few pictures, ask them to be specific about why they chose you or why they loved working with you, or if there was a specific moment throughout their process of working with you that they really enjoyed. Help them to be specific so that they understand what you're looking for in a great review. And honestly, I think this is the best way to get them to engage with your company. I love this. And I think we sometimes get afraid to ask for reviews, or we don't want to be pushy about it. But a lot of our couples just get busy. So it's totally fine to remind them, hey, we would love to hear from you. We would love to know about your experience. So I think that's one of the best ways that we can do that. And we often forget that.
yeah. Do you have, because I have an answer for that, but I want to know what you think. Do you have a preferred time where you think that, that testimonial should be asked for? You should be asking for that. At what
Oh,
specific
gosh.
time on your relationship with that client you should be asking that?
This is such a funny question because I feel like I get this question so often. And I'm like, honestly, I don't know if there's a right answer. I really don't. But what we do and what I teach my students is we always have our staff talk about it in the final details meeting, which is typically 2 to 3 months before their wedding. I just want them to kind of say in person, like, hey, we're so excited to work with you. This is coming together flawlessly. We would love after your wedding for you to leave us a review. You'll get an email, but just so you know that'll be coming. So just kind of talking about it casually. Then we would talk about it again, if possible, if it's organic and feels good, the week of their wedding, just like, oh my gosh, you guys, can you believe it? It's here. I can't wait. And, I definitely would love to see a review from you after blah, blah, blah. And then we send an email 9 days after their wedding. How we came up with 9, honestly, it was just our version of like, they leave their wedding, they take a honeymoon. Hopefully they're back somewhere around a week-ish after their wedding. And that's when they're getting time to dig in. So that's when we send it. And then we would send a reminder at 30 days if they still haven't sent it. But we always ask for the planner to reach out personally as well. So yeah. What's your answer, Nata? What do
Yeah, I
you
was
do?
gonna say that's very similar to what I do. Definitely start talking about it before, so they know it's coming. Make it very easy for them to do that by having this specific link where you want them to have the reviews sent to them. I do it very soon after the wedding, before they even see their pictures, which is very strange for a photographer to say. But what I'm looking for my couples is not for them to tell people how amazing my pictures are. What I want them to share is the experience of working with me. which has nothing to do with their photos and is really nothing to do with why people hire me. It's really, people come to me because they see the photos, but they don't hire me because of the photos. They hire me because of me and the experience that I provide to them. So that's what I want people sharing. And the height of that emotion and how excited they are of working with me is going to be the highest at those few days after the wedding. So they don't need to be seeing the pictures. And my couples are really good at responding in a time frame. And I've never been asked, well, I want to see the pictures first before I answer this. This is never going to happen because, again, that's not why they hire me. They hire me because of the experience, and that's what I want them to be talking about. So they have specific questions that usually we ask them if you want to do, a testimonial that's going to go on a website. But I want to make sure that it's as easy as possible and it's very soon after the wedding. So I might even do it sooner than those 99 days that you do because I want to make sure that it's quick and they're still excited about the wedding. And at the end of the day, when they're on their honeymoon, they have time to look at their phone and answer this. And then when they come back, that's when life hits them again.
It is true. It
So
is
I
true.
actually want to catch them during that honeymoon slow phase where they're still excited about the wedding. So that's
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
do.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I tell my students is I'm like, listen, have a reason that you do it the way you do it, but do it, right? Like whatever works for you, please send the email. Make it automated if you can. Follow up personally. I think it's great, but ask for the review.
So, one of the things that I feel like is very important in our industry is networking and collaboration. So, I want to talk a little bit about is there, could ineffective networking or lack of collaboration be misinterpreted as like a slow market, which I think, again, I have my opinions on it and how important it is that you really spend those quote unquote downtimes if you're seeing them kind of boosting your visibility and growing within the industry.
Yeah, I think this is so interesting because, post COVID, no one wants to leave their house, right? Like, I mean, so many of us, even I'm a very outgoing person and I love the fact that I never have to get out of sweatpants. Like, I love being in sweatpants all the time. And so I get it. I get it that we don't want to leave our house, but I do 100% think it can not only be part of the reason that you're not getting a lot of referrals because you're not making those personal connections, but also kind of having that isolationist mindset where really you're home in your home office by yourself. Kind of you start this spiral of like, I haven't gotten a lead in a week. I haven't gotten a lead in 2 weeks. Then you go on Threads or you go on TikTok and you start asking if other people have had it. And you're only going to get the doomsday people responding, right? So then all of a sudden you've created this like world scenario that isn't true of like everybody is having a down year. And I really genuinely think this is bad all around. But when you get out and you start talking to other pros and you start really engaging, it's so valuable to your mindset. It gets you out of your normal day to day. You can talk strategy with other pros that are in your market. You can form relationships. So I think this is really, really important. And I think you should also surround yourself, even online, with people who boost you up and help, talk about different strategies and things like that. This whole posting threads, I cannot stand seeing a thread where it's like, I haven't had a booking in 3 weeks. Is everyone else also not seeing any bookings? And then you get like 10
How's that going to
responses
help
of,
you?
I know, I'm like, what on earth? Like in the amount of time it took you to do that, you could have tried to do something to actually get a lead, right? Also, if your couple see that, they're not going, oh, you know what? Let me reach out to her then. No, we don't want our couple seeing that. So I think that you really need to be focused on how you're changing the narrative instead of leaning into, oh, the economy, woe is me.
I mean, there were businesses thriving during COVID. There's businesses thriving now, and we're all in the same place with the same economy. So, what are these people doing differently? I just posted yesterday, successful people don't have different problems, they have different solutions.
Yes, that's so good. It's so true, and I think, I just think it's so crazy. I also think for whatever reason, the economy is a challenge. Like, don't get me wrong at all. I think the economy is a challenge in 2024, but that's not isolated to the wedding industry. That is across the board. Like, Everything is more expensive. All industries are having to adjust and figure out, what does life look 3 years post COVID? And so it's not an isolated industry thing. And if everybody who was struggling in the entire world with the economy sat on their hands and said, I hope next year's better, we would soon fall right apart. So I think it's important. That's what makes you an entrepreneur, is your ability to be agile and say, okay, that strategy is not working anymore. Let me try this one, or to get tips from other people about what's working for them. But the doomsday approach doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah. So if we have to give maybe 2 to 3 strategies of what people should be spending their time on instead of going to get more people to sympathize with the idea that things are slow, what should they be focusing their time and efforts on?
Yeah. Okay. So one, in-person networking, whether that's a networking event in your area or you gather a few pros that you love working with and you guys all go grab coffee just to connect, get out of your bubble, get out of your house and go connect in person and make some partnerships like that. Number 2 is engage. I am telling you guys, there by far and away, I would say this is the number one thing that I see working in 2024 is engaging on other pros pages. It is working. It is so easy. It takes 15 minutes, set a timer in the morning, go engage on a couple of different pages every single day. It will pay off in dividends. And the last thing I would tell you is show your face. I mean, we've talked about that. Show your face, show your face, show your face. Talk on stories. It's not going to be great at first. You're going to feel weird. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Who cares? You cannot get better at something until you get in the game, right? Like I used to always tell people, my girls used to play volleyball. I'm like, the number of hours I spend in the bleachers, in a gym, watching volleyball games or watching volleyball practice, you would think that I would be an all-star volleyball player, right? But I'm just watching it happen. I'm not actually doing it. So I certainly am not able to get on the court and sub in for somebody. The same thing is true with social media. Until you get in the game and you start doing it and you see what's working, what's not working, what makes you feel comfortable, what lighting, what filters, whatever, you're not going to know. Watching other people do it is not the same as getting in the game yourself. So get in, start practicing, be weird at first, be awkward. You will get better. And then by the time people start watching, you'll actually be good at it and it'll be fun.
I love that. So anything new and exciting coming up for you and your business?
Oh gosh. Well, yes. So if you followed me at all, you know that my brand has really always been me, Brandee Gaar, and my platform is Wedding Pro CEO, and that's the name of our podcast as well. But this fall, this November, we are actually completely rebranding everything to Wedding Pro CEO. We have a team of coaches that's joining me inside of all of my programs, and we're really creating it as the educational resource for wedding pros to learn how to grow a profitable business. So it's been really, really fun. We've been working on it for almost a year now, I feel like. And so the fact that it's actually coming to fruition feels insane. But there's like fire all around us right now trying to get everything done. So it's exciting. That feels really exciting. And then of course, the Wedding Pro CEO Summit, which we host every June. So that is coming up June of 2025. We will be in Denver, Colorado.
Ooh.
And we're super excited about that. Actually, somewhere with good June weather, because we've been in Florida and Texas the last couple of years. So we're excited about that. So yeah, hoping to see some new faces there. We have maybe, I think, 18 tickets left to sell. So it's filling up fast and we're getting really excited about that.
That's awesome. Congratulations on all the changes. I'm excited. I've been watching and following on social media.
So fun.
So I love that. Tell everybody where they can find you if they want to work with you and learn more about the summit and everything else that you have going on.
Yeah. So come on over to Brandee Gaar on Instagram. I love DMs. So drop into my DMs and you can head over to weddingproceo.com to check out all of our offerings, learn more about the summit, and connect with us there as well.
Thank you so much, Brandee, for having this conversation with me. I really enjoyed, and I think we had amazing tips and resources for everybody to try to fight this perception that things are not going well. You guys got this.
That's right. So crazy. Nata, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We'll see you next week in another episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Bye. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Accidental CEO podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us in the world where creativity and business strategy collide. I am Nata Salvatore, thrilled to have shared this time with you. Remember, every episode is a step closer to mastering the art of being an accidental CEO. So don't miss out. Hit subscribe, drop us a sweet review, and spread the word to your creative tribe. Your next big breakthrough could be just one episode away. Join us next time for more insights, laughs, and actionable tips. Keep pushing boundaries, dreaming big, and embracing the beautiful chaos of entrepreneurship. Here's to make magic happen in your business and beyond.